The Alpha King humiliated her in front of everyone, speaking the ancient tongue, a language only royals should understand. He called her filth. Worthless. Nothing. The entire hall laughed. But then, she answered back. In perfect ancient tongue. The room went silent. Glowing marks erupted across her skin. An ancient power awakened. And the Alpha King felt it instantly, the mating bond snapping into place. She wasn't a servant. She was the hidden Luna. The one destined to challenge his throne. He didn't just insult a waitress, he insulted the queen the moon goddess hid from the world. And now? Everything changes. Hello, my wonderful pack. Where are you watching from today? I hope you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and join our growing family of shifter romance lovers. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next in this story. Now, let's dive in. The crystal chandeliers blazed overhead like captured stars, casting golden light across the marble floors of the Northern Pack's grand palace. Laughter echoed through the vaulted hall, rich and indulgent, the kind that belonged to wolves who had never known hunger, never known fear. Arya kept her head down. Invisible. That's all you need to be. Invisible. She moved between the tables with practiced silence, refilling goblets of blood wine, her worn uniform a dull gray against the sea of silk and silver that surrounded her. The high-ranking wolves barely glanced at her. To them, she was furniture. Scenery. Nothing. She preferred it that way. But tonight, something felt different. The air hummed with a strange energy, making the fine hairs on her arms stand on end. Her wolf, usually dormant and quiet, stirred restlessly beneath her skin. Not now, she warned silently. Please, not now. More wine, servant. The command came from a beta near the center table. Arya moved forward, keeping her eyes lowered as she poured. Her hands were steady. They always were. Years of practice had taught her how to disappear in plain sight, how to smother the power that sometimes flickered in her veins like a candle she couldn't quite extinguish. The palace guards had found her 6 years ago, half dead in the whispering forest with no memory of how she'd gotten there. No family. No pack. No past. Just a name that felt right when she whispered it, Arya. They'd given her work in the kitchens. Shelter. A life, however small. And she'd learned to be grateful for invisibility. Pathetic. The word cut through the noise like a blade. The hall fell silent. Arya's blood turned to ice as every head turned toward the raised dais at the front of the room. Toward him. Alpha King Lucian Blackthorn. He sat on his obsidian throne like a god carved from midnight and cruelty, his presence so commanding that even the air seemed to bend around him. Dark hair fell across a face too beautiful to be mortal, all sharp angles and cold perfection. But it was his eyes that made wolves tremble, silver, like moonlight on a frozen lake. Eyes that had watched thousands kneel. Eyes that had never known mercy. And right now, those eyes were fixed directly on her. You there, he said, his voice smooth as silk and just as dangerous. The girl with the wine. Arya's heart slammed against her ribs. No. No, no, no. Come closer. Her feet moved before her mind could catch up, carrying her toward the dais even as every instinct screamed at her to run. The crowd parted, nobles stepping back as if she carried a plague. She could feel their stares, hear the whispers starting. Who is she? Just a servant. Why would the king notice her? Arya climbed the 3 steps to the dais on legs that felt like water. She stopped at what she hoped was a respectful distance, keeping her gaze locked on the floor. The Alpha King's boots came into view. Black leather, polished to a mirror shine. Look at me. It wasn't a request. Slowly, so slowly, Arya raised her eyes. The moment their gazes locked, something electric shot through her chest. Her wolf surged forward with a force that made her gasp, clawing at her control, and for one terrifying second she felt her eyes flash gold before she shoved the animal back down. If the king noticed, he didn't show it. His perfect lips curved into a smile that held no warmth. "Tell me, little servant," he purred, loud enough for the entire hall to hear. "Do you know why you're here? In my palace, serving my guests?" Arya's throat tightened. To serve, your majesty. To serve." He repeated the words as if tasting them. Then he leaned forward, and his voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "Or perhaps the moon goddess has a cruel sense of humor, placing vermin among wolves." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Heat flooded Arya's cheeks, but she kept her expression neutral. She'd endured worse. She could endure this. The king wasn't finished. He leaned back, and when he spoke again, the language that spilled from his lips made the entire room go still. It was the ancient tongue. The sacred language of the first wolves, of bloodline and prophecy. A tongue that only royals and true-born alphas could speak, much less understand. Words of power that could bind or break, command or curse. And what he said? Kneeling filth and borrowed skin. A stain on sacred ground. You are nothing. You will always be nothing. Even the dirt beneath my boot holds more worth than your entire existence. The nobles erupted in laughter, delighted by the display even though most of them couldn't understand a word. But they knew insult when they heard it. Knew humiliation. The king's silver eyes glittered with amusement as he watched her, waiting for tears, for shame, for her to crumble. But something else was happening. The words hit Arya like physical blows, yes, but beneath the pain, beneath the humiliation, something ancient stirred. The language resonated in her bones, in her blood, in the deepest part of her soul. And she understood. Every single word. Heat exploded through her body, starting in her chest and radiating outward like wildfire. Her wolf roared to life, no longer contained, no longer silent. Power surged through her veins, raw and primal and old, older than the palace, older than the pack, older than memory itself. No, she thought desperately. Not here. Not now. But it was too late. Her eyes snapped up, no longer brown but blazing with golden fire. When she spoke, her voice rang through the hall like a bell, clear and commanding and utterly changed. And she spoke in the ancient tongue. A king who insults those beneath him is no king at all, but a frightened boy playing at power. True strength does not break the weak. It protects them. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Lucian? The silence that followed was absolute. Alpha King Lucian Blackthorn froze, his face draining of color. The amusement vanished from his eyes, replaced by something Arya had never seen there before. Shock. Then, beneath her skin, symbols began to glow. Ancient markings, silver as moonlight, spreading across her arms, her collarbone, her throat. Runes that spoke of bloodlines forgotten, of power sealed away, of a destiny written in the stars before the first pack ever held. The temperature in the room plummeted. Glasses shattered. Candles extinguished. And every single wolf in that hall, from the lowest servant to the highest noble, felt it. An aura of pure, undiluted alpha power. Not just any alpha. Luna. The true mate. The hidden one. The equal to the king. Lucian shot to his feet, his own power flaring in response, silver light erupting around him. But even as their energies clashed and intertwined, even as the very foundations of the palace trembled, Arya felt something else. A bond. Snapping into place between them like a golden thread pulled taut. Ancient. Unbreakable. Undeniable. The mating bond. No, Arya thought, horror washing over her even as her wolf sang with recognition. No, this can't be happening. But the moon goddess, it seemed, had other plans. Lucian stared at her, his silver eyes wide, his carefully crafted mask of control completely shattered. And in his gaze, Arya saw the exact moment he realized the truth. She wasn't a servant. She wasn't ordinary. She was the Luna the prophecies spoke of. The one the moon goddess herself had hidden from the world. His mate. His equal. His doom. What? Lucian's voice was barely a whisper. What are you? Arya's glowing marks pulsed once, twice, and then the power receded, sinking back beneath her skin like a tide retreating. But the damage was done. The secret was out. She met his eyes one last time, her voice steady despite the chaos roaring through her. I'm the one you should never have insulted, Your Majesty. Then the world tilted, her vision blurred, and everything went black. Arya woke to softness. Silk sheets. The scent of lavender and night-blooming jasmine. Warmth surrounding her like a cocoon. For one blissful moment, she thought it had all been a dream. The humiliation. The ancient tongue. The glowing marks. The bond that had snapped into place like a chain around her soul. Then she opened her eyes and saw the ceiling, painted with constellations that actually moved, stars drifting across midnight blue. This wasn't the servants' quarters with its cracked plaster and leaking roof. This was a royal chamber. Oh goddess, it was real. You're awake. Arya bolted upright, her heart hammering. Alpha King Lucian stood by the window, his back to her, hands clasped behind him. Even in silence, his presence filled the room like a storm barely contained. Where am I? Her voice came out rougher than intended. My private wing. You collapsed in front of 300 witnesses. He didn't turn around. It seemed unwise to leave you in the servants' quarters after that display. That display. As if her entire world hadn't just shattered. I need to leave. Arya swung her legs off the bed, relieved to find she was still in her uniform. Her worn shoes sat neatly by the bedside. I'll gather my things and... You'll do no such thing. Now he turned, and the look in his silver eyes made her freeze. It wasn't anger exactly. It was something far more dangerous, curiosity mixed with calculation. Do you know what you are? He asked quietly. A servant who should have kept her mouth shut. Don't. The word cracked like a whip. Lucian crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping just close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his gaze. Don't insult my intelligence. Those marks. That power. The ancient tongue flowing from your lips as if you were born to it. His jaw clenched. And the bond. We both felt it. Arya's wolf stirred, yearning toward him despite everything. She shoved it down. I don't know what I am. I have no memories before 6 years ago. No family. No pack. The words tasted like ash. I'm nobody. Nobody? A bitter laugh escaped him. Nobody doesn't speak the language of kings. Nobody doesn't make an entire hall of alphas submit with a single pulse of power. He leaned closer, and she caught his scent, pine and smoke and something wild. Nobody doesn't carry Luna markings that haven't been seen in 300 years. Her breath hitched. Luna markings? You truly don't know. He studied her face as if searching for lies. Whatever he found made his expression soften, just slightly. The marks are from the first Luna, the moon goddess's own daughter. Legend says her power was sealed away, divided among her descendants, waiting for the right moment to awaken. His voice dropped. Waiting for the right mate. No. No, no, no. I'm not your mate, Arya said, even as the bond hummed between them, calling her a liar. This is a mistake. The moon goddess doesn't make mistakes. But he didn't sound happy about it. He sounded conflicted. Stepping back, he ran a hand through his dark hair, the perfect mask of the cruel king cracking to reveal something almost human underneath. Do you know what they call me? The nobles, the other packs? She shook her head. The tyrant king. The one who took the throne at 18 by challenging his own father to death combat. Who united the northern territories through fear and bloodshed. His silver eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw pain there. Old pain, buried deep. I'd built an empire on strength and ruthlessness. I can't afford weakness. Can't afford. Love, Arya whispered. Sentiment, he corrected sharply. But the way he looked at her said otherwise. And now the moon goddess binds me to a woman who appeared from nowhere, who speaks words that should be impossible, who? His voice grew rough. Who makes me feel things I swore I'd never feel again. Again? Before Arya could ask, a sharp knock interrupted them. Your Majesty. A woman's voice, cold and imperious. The council demands an audience. Now. Lucian's expression shuddered, the cruel king sliding back into place like armor. Stay here. Don't leave this room. And don't, he paused at the door, glancing back. Don't run. We need to figure out what you are. What this means. And if I want to run? His smile was sharp as a blade. Then I'll hunt you down. It's what I do best. The door closed behind him, and Arya was alone. Alone with the silk sheets and painted stars and the terrifying knowledge that her invisible life was over. The hidden Luna had awakened. And the Alpha King who'd insulted her was her fated mate. Moon Goddess helped them both. Arya lasted exactly 12 minutes before her curiosity won. The door wasn't locked. Either Lucian trusted her to obey, or he knew she couldn't escape a palace full of wolves who'd just witnessed her transformation. Either way, she slipped into the corridor, following the sound of raised voices. The council chamber doors stood partially open. Cannot possibly accept this. A woman's shrill voice echoed. A servant? With no lineage, no pack, no name? It's an insult to the crown. Lady Morgana speaks truth. A man's deeper tone, dripping with disdain. The bloodline must remain pure. Whatever trick this girl performed, it changes nothing. Arya pressed against the wall, peering through the gap. The chamber was circular, dominated by a massive table carved from black oak. 12 wolves sat around it, the council of elders, their combined power thick enough to choke on. And at the head sat Lucian, looking bored and deadly. She spoke the ancient tongue, he said flatly. She bore the Luna marks. The bond activated. Each word was precise, controlled. These are not tricks, Councilman Theron. Then she's a witch. Lady Morgana slammed her hand on the table. The woman was beautiful in a cruel way, all sharp cheekbones and colder eyes. Using dark magic to seduce our king, to infiltrate the... Careful. Lucian's voice dropped to a lethal purr. You're calling my mate a witch. Choose your next words wisely. His mate. He'd said it so casually, as if claiming her before them all. Arya's wolf preened. She told it to shut up. Your Majesty. An older man with silver streaking his temples stood, his tone more measured. We mean no disrespect. But you must understand our concern. A Luna appears from nowhere, with power that shouldn't exist, during the most crucial time in our history. He paused significantly. 3 weeks before the summit of Alphas. The room went quiet. Ah. Lucian's smile was razor sharp. Now we arrive at the true issue. You're not concerned about bloodlines or traditions. You're worried about appearing weak before the other packs. The Eastern Alliance already questions your rule, Theron said bluntly. Alpha Daemon spreads rumors that you're losing control, that the North has grown soft. If you present this, girl, as your Luna, they'll see it as confirmation. Then they'll be fools. Lucian stood, his power flooding the room. Even from the hallway, Arya felt it press against her skin. I've conquered 12 territories. Ended 3 wars. Built the strongest pack in 5 centuries. And you think I care what Daemon thinks of my mate? We think, Lady Morgana said coldly, that you should reject her. Publicly. Before the bond fully forms. The words hit Arya like a physical blow. Her wolf held in denial, clawing at her chest. Reject. 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 The cruelest thing one fated mate could do to another. Severing the bond before completion was agonizing, left both wolves half-broken, condemned to never feel whole again. You want me to reject my true mate? Lucian's voice was soft. Too soft. To condemn us both to a half-life, for politics. For the pack, Theron corrected. For stability. For. She stays. The declaration rang through the chamber like a bell. But your majesty. She. Stays. Lucian's eyes blazed silver. I'll present her at the summit. Let Daemon and the others see exactly what the moon goddess has blessed me with. A Luna with ancient power awakened at the perfect moment. His smile turned vicious. They'll either bow, or they'll learn why I'm called the Tyrant King. Arya's heart stuttered. He was protecting her? Claiming her? There is another option, a new voice spoke. Smooth, cultured, dangerous. A man emerged from the shadows at the back of the room. Tall, elegant, with golden hair and eyes like amber. Something about him made Arya's skin crawl. Lord Cassius. Lucian's tone went flat. I wondered when you'd add your poison. Not poison, your majesty. Practicality. Cassius smiled, all teeth. If the girl truly carries Luna blood, then test her. The trials of the first Luna. 3 challenges that prove her worthiness. He spread his hands. If she survives, even the Eastern Alliance cannot question her legitimacy. If she fails, she dies, Morgana finished, looking pleased. The trials haven't been attempted in 200 years. No one survives all 3. Lucian's jaw clenched. Absolutely not. It's perfect, Theron said slowly. It satisfies both tradition and necessity. If she's truly the hidden Luna, the trials will prove it. And if she's not, Cassius added softly, his amber eyes finding Arya through the gap in the door, then the moon goddess herself will remove the problem. He knows I'm here, Arya realized with cold dread. He's been watching me the whole time. The council votes, Morgana announced. All in favor of the trials? 9 hands rose. Lucian remained seated, his expression carved from stone. This is a mistake. Then stop her from accepting, Cassius said. Reject her yourself. Send her away. Or. His smile widened. Let her prove she's worthy of a king. All eyes turned to Lucian. Waiting. He could end this. Reject the bond. Send her back to invisibility. Keep her safe. But that would mean admitting weakness. Admitting that the mighty Alpha King couldn't protect his own mate. Arya saw the moment he made his choice. Fine. The word was ground glass. But when she survives, every one of you will kneel before your Luna and beg her forgiveness. Then his silver eyes flicked to the door, to where Arya stood frozen. You can come in now, little mate. Might as well hear your death sentence firsthand. Arya pushed the door open fully, her chin lifted despite the trembling in her hands. 12 pairs of eyes locked onto her, weighing, judging, some gleaming with barely concealed hostility. She walked to the center of the room, stopping before the council table. I accept. Arya, don't, Lucian started. I accept the trials, she repeated, louder this time. Her wolf surged with approval, lending her strength. If it's the only way to prove I belong here, then I'll do it. Lady Morgana's smile was vulpine. How brave. Or how foolish. The first trial begins at dawn, Theron announced, looking satisfied. In the ancestral grove. You'll face the trial of truth, where the ancient spirits will judge the purity of your soul. He paused. Many have entered. Few have left with their sanity intact. Second trial is combat, Morgana added, her tone dripping with anticipation. You'll fight 3 of our finest warriors. To the death, if necessary. Cassius leaned back in his chair, amber eyes glittering. And the third trial, well, that one's a surprise. It changes based on what the moon goddess deems your greatest weakness. His smile never reached his eyes. I do hope you survive long enough to see it. Enough. Lucian stood abruptly. Council dismissed. All of you, out. Your Majesty, we need to discuss. Now. The command rippled with alpha dominance. The council members filed out reluctantly, though Morgana paused at the door. Do try to rest, little servant. You'll need your strength. Her gaze slid to Lucian. What's left of it, anyway? When the door finally closed, the silence was deafening. Lucian turned to Arya, his expression thunderous. That was spectacularly stupid. You're welcome. Welcome? He crossed the distance between them in 2 strides. You just agreed to 3 trials designed to kill you. The council is hoping you'll fail so they can install some purebred Luna who'll smile and nod while they manipulate from the shadows. Then I won't fail. Arya met his glare steadily. You said it yourself, I spoke the ancient tongue. I have the marks. If I'm truly the hidden Luna, then I can survive this. And if you're not? If this is all some cosmic mistake? His hand shot out, gripping her shoulders. Not hard, but firm enough that she felt the tremor in his fingers. I watched my mother die in these trials. She was a born alpha, trained from childhood, and she barely survived the first one. It broke something in her. She was never the same. The raw pain in his voice stole her breath. Lucian. Don't. But he didn't let go. Don't make me watch another person. He cut himself off, jaw clenching. The council played this perfectly. They know I can't refuse without looking weak. And they know forcing you into this makes me look like a tyrant who'd rather risk his mate than show mercy. So we beat them at their own game. Arya's hand came up, resting over his heart. The bond hummed between them, warm and insistent. I train. You help me. And in 3 days, I walk out of those trials as your acknowledged Luna. He stared at her for a long moment, silver eyes searching her face. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. You're either the bravest woman I've ever met, or the most insane. Can't I be both? Something shifted in his expression. The ice cracked, just a little, revealing heat underneath. 3 days isn't enough time to prepare you properly. But... His hand slid from her shoulders to her arms, his touch gentler now. I'll train you myself. Starting now. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. Now? It's the middle of the night. Dawn comes quickly. But he didn't move. His gaze dropped to her lips, then back to her eyes. There's something else you should know. The bond between us, it's not complete. It won't be until we both accept it fully. Arya's pulse quickened. What happens if we do? Our powers merge. Our strengths become shared. You'd have access to my alpha abilities. His thumb traced small circles on her forearm, the gesture almost unconscious. But it also means our pain becomes shared. Our emotions. Everything. That terrifies you. Yes. The admission was raw. I've spent 10 years building walls, keeping everyone at a distance. And now you're here, and those walls are crumbling, and I can't. He exhaled sharply. I can't afford to be vulnerable. Not with the summit coming. Not with enemies circling. Arya understood then. He wasn't just the tyrant king. He was a man who'd been hurt, who'd learned that love was a weapon others could use against him. Then we keep the bond incomplete, she said quietly. For now. We train, I survive the trials, and after the summit, we figure out the rest. Relief flickered across his face, followed quickly by something that looked like regret. You deserve better than a king who's too afraid to complete a mating bond. And you deserve better than a mate who doesn't even know her own name. She smiled sadly. Looks like we're both broken. Maybe that's why the moon goddess put us together. Or maybe she has a cruel sense of humor. That too. The almost smile he gave her made her heart skip. Come on. If I'm training you to survive the impossible, we should start with the basics. He released her, stepping back to a professional distance. Can you shift? I don't know. I've never tried. His eyebrows rose. Never? In 6 years? I was too afraid. After I woke up in the forest with no memories, my wolf felt too big, too powerful. Like if I let her out, I'd never get control back. The confession made her feel exposed. So I kept her locked down. Lucian was quiet for a moment, processing. Then he held out his hand. Trust me? It was such a simple question. Such an impossible one. But Arya took his hand anyway. Good. His grip was warm, steady. Now, I'm going to teach you something the council doesn't know. Something my mother taught me before she died. His silver eyes locked onto hers. How to let the wolf out without losing yourself. How to merge instead of fight. Is that even possible? With the right teacher? His smile was sharp as a blade. We're about to find out. He led her toward the balcony doors, toward the moonlight and the forest beyond. And despite everything, despite the trials and the council and the enemies gathering, Arya felt something she hadn't felt in 6 years. Hope. Maybe she wasn't broken after all. Maybe she was just waiting for someone to show her how to be whole. The ancestral grove at dawn was a place of nightmares. Ancient trees twisted toward the sky like gnarled fingers, their bark covered in glowing runes that pulsed with each of Arya's heartbeats. Mist clung to the ground, thick and silver, hiding what lay beneath. The entire pack had gathered to watch. Hundreds of wolves, silent as death. Arya stood at the entrance, dressed in simple ceremonial white. Lucian stood beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. He'd spent the last 3 nights training her, teaching her to shift, to fight, to survive. Teaching her to trust her wolf. And somewhere in those moonlit hours, between combat drills and shared stories, something had shifted between them. The walls he'd built so carefully were cracking wider. Remember, he murmured, low enough that only she could hear. The spirits will show you your deepest truth. Don't run from it. Face it, accept it, and it loses its power over you. What did they show you? She asked. When you took the trials? His jaw clenched. My father. Bleeding out at my feet. Telling me I'd never be anything but a monster. Silver eyes met hers. He was right. No, he wasn't. Before he could respond, Darren's voice rang out. Let the trial of truth begin. The grove's entrance yawned open like a mouth. Arya stepped inside. The world shifted immediately. The mist rose, swallowing her whole, and when it cleared, she wasn't in the grove anymore. She was in a bedroom. Small, warm, filled with afternoon sunlight. A woman sat in a rocking chair, humming softly. She had Arya's eyes. Her smile. She was embroidering something, small enough for a child. Mom? The word escaped before Arya could stop it. The woman looked up, and her smile widened. There you are, little moon. Come, sit with me. It felt real. Too real. Arya's legs moved on their own, carrying her forward. I don't remember you. I know, sweetheart. Her mother's voice was honey and heartbreak. They took your memories to protect you. To hide you from those who would use your power. She set down her embroidery, reaching for Arya's hand. But I'm here now. We can finally be together. Tears burned Arya's eyes. I've been so alone. Not anymore. Her mother squeezed her hand. Stay here with me. Forget the trials, forget the cruel king, forget all of it. We can have the life that was stolen from us. It was everything Arya had dreamed of. A mother. A home. Belonging. Too perfect, her wolf whispered. It's a trap. You're not real, Arya said, her voice breaking. This is the trial. You're showing me what I want most. Her mother's smile never wavered. Does it matter? Real or not, I love you. I'm here. Isn't that enough? No. Arya pulled her hand away, even though it felt like tearing out her own heart. Because love that asks you to hide isn't real love. My mother, wherever she is, would want me to be strong. To fight. She stood, backing toward the door. To become who I'm meant to be. The woman's face flickered. Changed. Suddenly it wasn't her mother anymore. It was Arya herself. Older, harder, with eyes like ice. You think you're meant to be Luna? The other Arya hissed. You're nobody. A servant playing dress up. The moment you fail, Lucian will discard you like the trash you are. Maybe. Arya's voice steadied. But I'd rather fail as myself than succeed as a lie. He'll never love you. He's incapable of it. Then I'll love him anyway. The words came from somewhere deep, somewhere true. Because that's what mates do. They don't give up, even when it's terrifying. The false Arya screamed, the sound like breaking glass. Then the mist returned, swallowing everything. When it cleared, Arya was back in the grove. Sunlight streamed through the trees. The trial runes had stopped glowing. She'd survived. The crowd erupted in shocked whispers. But Arya only had eyes for Lucian. He stood at the entrance, his expression unreadable. Then he moved, closing the distance between them in seconds, pulling her against his chest. You did it, he breathed into her hair. Goddess, you actually did it. His heart thundered against her ear. And Arya felt it, the bond between them, glowing brighter, pulling tighter. Lucian, she whispered. In there, I realized something. What? She pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. I don't care if this bond is complete or not. I don't care about the politics or the danger. Her hand pressed over his heart. I choose you. Not because the moon goddess says I should. Because I want to. Something in his silver eyes cracked wide open. Arya, I. Traitor. The scream came from the crowd. Cassius stepped forward, his handsome face twisted with rage. In his hand, he held a scroll, ancient and yellowed. "I know what she is," he shouted. "I know why she was hidden." He unrolled the scroll for all to see. And Arya's blood turned to ice. Because there, drawn in faded ink, was her face. Younger, but unmistakable. Beneath it, written in the ancient tongue. Princess Arya Silvermoon. Daughter of the traitor queen. Cursed bloodline. Kill on sight. The world tilted. Traitor queen. Cursed bloodline. Kill on sight. No. Arya's voice was barely a whisper. That's not. I'm not. But the crowd was already moving, snarling, pressing closer. The pack's energy shifted from curious to hostile in a heartbeat. The Silvermoon line. Lady Morgana's voice rang with triumph. They tried to overthrow the first Alpha King 3 centuries ago. Every last one was executed for treason. Except one, Cassius said, his amber eyes gleaming. A baby girl, hidden away by sympathizers. Protected by dark magic that locked away her memories, her scent, her very identity. He pointed at Arya. Until an arrogant king insulted her in the ancient tongue and broke the seal. Lucian's arm tightened around Arya, pulling her behind him. That's ancient history. Whatever her bloodline. Ancient law is clear. Theron stood, his face grave. The Silvermoon curse cannot be allowed to continue. Their line is forbidden, their power corrupted. She must be executed before the bond completes and taints the royal bloodline. You'll have to go through me first. Lucian's power exploded outward, silver light crackling around him like lightning. His voice dropped to a lethal growl. Anyone who touches my maid answers to me. Your Majesty, be reasonable, Morgana said, though she looked delighted. You cannot bond with cursed blood. The pack will never accept her. The other alphas will use it as proof of weakness. I don't care. The declaration silenced everyone. Lucian turned, cupping Arya's face with both hands. His silver eyes blazed with something fierce and desperate. I don't care about your bloodline. I don't care about curses or prophecies or ancient laws. His thumb brushed away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. You're mine. And I protect what's mine. Even if it costs you everything? Arya's voice broke. Your throne? Your pack? Your legacy? Especially then. The bond flared between them, golden and brilliant. For one perfect moment, Arya felt his emotions, fear, fury, and beneath it all, something that felt dangerously close to love. Then Cassius laughed, cold and cruel. How touching. The tyrant king, brought low by a cursed girl. He gestured to the guards. Seize her. Take her to the cells until the council can vote on her execution. You dare. I dare because the law is on our side. Cassius's smile was vicious. Unless you're willing to start a civil war over one girl, Your Majesty. Because that's what this becomes if you defy the council. He spread his hands. Choose. Your mate, or your kingdom. Lucian's entire body went rigid. Arya felt his anguish through the bond, his rage at being backed into a corner. Lucian. She touched his chest gently. Let them take me. No. If you fight this now, people die. Your people. She forced herself to smile even as her heart shattered. I survived one trial. I can survive a cell until we figure this out. They'll kill you. Then you'll have to work fast. She rose on her toes, pressing a kiss to his jaw. Trust me. Like I trusted you. His hands trembled against her face. Arya. Guards, Cassius commanded. Now. Rough hands grabbed Arya, yanking her away from Lucian. She didn't resist. Didn't fight. But she kept her eyes on him as they dragged her backward. "I choose you," she mouthed. The look on his face would haunt her forever. Then she was pulled through the crowd, down stone stairs, into the darkness beneath the palace. The cells were old, carved from rock, smelling of damp and despair. They threw her into the farthest one. The door clanged shut. Arya sank onto the cold floor, wrapping her arms around herself. Her wolf howled in anguish, feeling the distance growing between them and their mate. Cursed bloodline. Traitor's daughter. Everything she'd feared was true. She wasn't the hidden Luna destined to save them. She was the monster they'd been right to fear all along. Hours passed. Or maybe days. In the darkness, time lost meaning. Then footsteps echoed down the corridor. Arya looked up, expecting guards. Expecting execution. Instead, Cassius stood outside her cell, that terrible smile on his perfect face. "Hello, cousin," he purred. "Did you really think I wouldn't recognize my own blood?" His amber eyes glowed. "The Silvermoons weren't traitors. We were the rightful rulers, overthrown by the Blackthorns in a coup." He leaned close to the bars. "And now, thanks to you awakening your power and bonding with their king, I finally have the leverage to take back what's mine." Arya's blood ran cold. "What did you do?" "Simple. I gave Lucian a choice." Cassius's smile widened. "Reject you publicly at tomorrow's summit and execute you himself, proving his loyalty to the throne, or I reveal documents proving his father's coup was illegal. That the Blackthorn line has no legitimate claim to rule. He'll never. Won't he?" Cassius laughed. "He's the tyrant king, little cousin. He'll always choose power over love. It's who he is." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and the summit? It starts in 6 hours. I suggest you make peace with the moon goddess." Then he was gone. And Arya was alone in the dark. Truly, completely alone. Arya didn't know how long she sat in the darkness before she heard it. A voice, soft as moonlight, ancient as time itself. "Daughter of the moon. Why do you weep?" She looked up. The cell was empty, but silver light filtered through the cracks in the stone, coalescing into the shape of a woman. Beautiful, ethereal, with eyes that held galaxies. "You're..." Arya's breath caught. "The moon goddess." "I am." The goddess moved closer, her form shimmering. "And you are far more than you know, child. I'm cursed. A traitor's bloodline. You are a survivor of lies." The goddess knelt, her hand passing through the bars like smoke. The Silvermoons were not traitors. They were protectors, keepers of balance, guardians of the bond between Alpha and Luna. Her eyes glowed brighter. The Blackthorns feared that power. So they rewrote history, turned heroes into villains, and hunted your family to extinction. Then why hide me? Why lock away my memories? Because your mother saw what was coming. A time when the packs would fracture, when tyranny would rise, when an alpha king would need his true mate to remind him of his heart. The goddess smiled sadly. She gave her life to hide you. To give you a chance to become who you were meant to be, not who fear would make you. Tears streamed down Arya's face. Lucian will reject me. Cassius will win. My mother's sacrifice was for nothing. Do you truly believe that? After everything you've seen? Arya thought of Lucian's hands trembling as he held her face. His voice breaking as he said, "I don't care." The way he'd looked at her like she was his entire world. "He's afraid," she whispered. "As are you. But fear is not weakness, daughter. It is proof that what you have is worth protecting." The goddess stood, her light growing brighter. You passed the trial of truth by facing your deepest fear. Now face this one. Not with power, but with truth. How? I'm locked in a cell. The goddess laughed, the sound like silver bells. You carry the blood of the first Luna. Do you really think iron bars can hold you? She touched Aria's forehead, and suddenly, knowledge flooded through her. Ancient words, old as the first howl. Power that had been sleeping in her bones, waiting. The Luna gift, the ability to break any bond, any chain, any prison. Including the ones around hearts. Go to him, the goddess whispered. Show him the truth. And trust that love is stronger than fear. Then she vanished. Aria stood, her hands glowing with silver light. She spoke the ancient words, and the cell door swung open soundlessly. She ran. Through corridors, upstairs, following the bond that pulled her toward Lucian like a compass pointing north. Guards shouted, but she was faster, her newfound power lending her speed. She burst into the throne room just as dawn broke through the windows. The summit had begun. Alphas from every territory stood in attendance, their eyes sharp and judging. At the center, Lucian sat on his throne, his face a mask of ice. Cassius stood beside him, holding a scroll. Ready to destroy everything. Lucian. Aria's voice rang through the hall. Every head turned. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lucian shot to his feet, his mask shattering. Aria? How did you? The moon goddess herself freed me. She strode forward, ignoring the shocked whispers. Because she wanted me to tell you the truth. All of it. She reached the dais, looking up at him. At the man who'd become everything to her in just days. The Silvermoons weren't traitors. Your father lied. He stole the throne from the rightful rulers and rewrote history to hide his crime. She held up her hands, letting the Luna marks blaze to life. I am the last of that line. The true heir. And according to ancient law, that makes me the rightful queen. Chaos erupted. Alphas shouting, council members arguing. But Aria only saw Lucian. I don't want your throne, she said quietly, just for him. I don't want power or revenge or justice for my family. She climbed the steps until she stood before him. I want you. Broken, afraid, imperfect you. Her hand found his. So here's my choice, I claim you as my mate. Fully. Completely. Bond and all. His silver eyes widened. Aria, if we complete the bond. Then we face whatever comes together. She smiled through her tears. Isn't that what you taught me? To stop running from what terrifies us? For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then Lucian pulled her into his arms and kissed her like she was air and he was drowning. The bond snapped into place, complete and unbreakable. Power exploded through the hall, silver and gold intertwining, ancient magic awakening. And every wolf in that room felt it, the true king and queen, chosen by the moon goddess herself. United at last. The power surge knocked everyone back 3 steps. Everyone except Cassius. He stood frozen, his amber eyes wide with fury as silver and gold light swirled around Lucian and Aria like a living storm. The ancient magic of a completed bond, magnified by royal bloodlines that shouldn't exist together. When the light finally faded, something had fundamentally changed. Aria's marks glowed permanent and bright across her skin. Lucian's silver eyes now held flecks of gold. Their powers had merged, doubled, become something entirely new. Impossible, Cassius breathed. Then his handsome face twisted with rage. You fool. You've bonded with cursed blood. You've damned us all. The only curse here, Aria said, her voice ringing with authority she'd never felt before, is your lies. She raised her hand, and the Luna power responded. The air shimmered, and suddenly, ancient memories flooded the room. Not just hers, but the collective memory of the moon goddess herself, preserved in the blood of the first Luna. Images appeared like ghosts, the silver moon alphas, noble and just, ruling with wisdom and compassion. Then Lucian's grandfather, backed by Cassius's father, staging a midnight coup. The slaughter. The rewriting of history. The hunting of every last silver moon. Except one baby girl, spirited away by her dying mother. The truth hung in the air, undeniable. My family served yours faithfully, Cassius snarled at Lucian. We helped the Blackthorns take power because the Silvermoons were weak. Too compassionate, too soft. He pointed at Arya. And now you brought that weakness back. Compassion isn't weakness, Lucian said, his voice deadly calm. He stepped forward, positioning himself slightly in front of Arya. A united front. I've spent 10 years ruling through fear and strength alone. Building an empire on blood. His silver gold eyes swept the room. And it's made me exactly what you wanted, a tyrant. Isolated. Paranoid. Unable to trust. He turned to Arya, and his expression softened. Until she showed me what I'd become. What I could still be. How touching, Cassius spat. But you're still bound by law. The council. The council has no power here. Arya's voice cut through his. Not anymore. She pulled forth another memory, this one from deep in the ancient law. The original covenant, written by the first Alpha and first Luna together. When true mates of royal blood unite, their word supersedes all council law. For they speak with the voice of the moon goddess herself. Theron's face went pale. That law hasn't been invoked in 300 years. Because there haven't been true royal mates in 300 years, Arya said. But I am the last Silvermoon. And he is the Blackthorn King. Our bond makes us the highest authority in the pack. She met Cassius's furious gaze. Which means we can do this. She spoke in the ancient tongue, words of binding and judgment. Cassius Ravenclaw, son of traitors, spinner of lies. You manipulated history, threatened your king, and attempted to fracture this pack for your own gain. By the authority of the first Luna, I strip you of your title and lands. You are banished from these territories, never to return. Should you cross our borders again, it will mean your death. The words blazed with power, sealing themselves as unbreakable law. Cassius stumbled back as if struck. You can't, you have no right. I have every right. Arya's marks blazed brighter. I am Luna. And you are finished. Guards, Lucian commanded. Escort Lord Cassius to the border. He has 1 hour to leave our lands. As guards seized Cassius, he twisted back, his face contorted with hate. This isn't over. The Eastern Alliance will never accept her. Alpha Daemon will. Will bow, a new voice interrupted. The crowd parted, and a massive man strode forward. Dark-skinned, battle-scarred, radiating power. Alpha Daemon of the Eastern Alliance himself. Everyone tensed. Daemon stopped before the dais, his keen eyes assessing Lucian and Arya. Then, to everyone's shock, he dropped to one knee. I came here expecting to challenge a tyrant, he said, his deep voice carrying through the hall. Instead, I find a king who's finally remembered what true strength looks like. His gaze moved to Arya. And a Luna who carries the blessing of the moon goddess herself. I saw the memories. I felt the power of your completed bond. He bowed his head. The Eastern Alliance recognizes your rule. Both of you. One by one, the other alphas knelt. Then the council, reluctant but unable to deny what they'd witnessed. Finally, the entire pack, their combined submission washing over Arya like a wave. She was Luna. Not just in name, but in truth. Lady Morgana was the last to kneel, her expression sour. What about the second and third trials? She's only completed one. Arya looked at Lucian. He smiled, fierce and proud. The trial of truth, he said. The trial of combat, which she won by facing down the entire council and an alpha conspiracy. His hand found hers, their fingers intertwining. And the trial of sacrifice, which she passed by choosing love over safety, even when it meant walking into a cell to protect her pack. 3 trials, Arya said softly. 3 victories. The moon goddess works in mysterious ways, old Theron said, and for the first time, there was respect in his voice. Welcome, Luna Arya Silvermoon Blackthorn. May your reign be long and just. The hall erupted in howls, the ancient song of recognition. But Arya only heard Lucian's voice, quiet and meant only for her. I love you, he whispered against her temple. I should have said it in the grove. Should have said it in the cell. Should have. She turned, pressing her fingers to his lips. Say it now. That's all that matters. I love you, Arya Silvermoon. My Luna. My mate. My queen. His smile was radiant, transforming his cold features into something almost boyish. You terrify me. You've turned my entire world upside down. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Good. She grinned. Because you're stuck with me forever now. Promise? Bond-sworn promise. He kissed her again, and this time, the pack's howls of approval shook the very foundations of the palace. The tyrant king had found his heart. And the hidden Luna had found her throne. Together, they would reshape the world. 3 months later, the palace had transformed. Arya stood on the balcony overlooking the courtyard, watching the pack's children play below. Laughter echoed off the stones, a sound that had been absent for too long. Under her and Lucian's joint rule, the northern pack had changed. Fear had given way to loyalty. Tyranny to justice tempered with mercy. The Silvermoon compassion balanced with Blackthorn strength. There you are. Strong arms wrapped around her waist from behind. Lucian pressed a kiss to her mark-covered shoulder, and the bond hummed contentedly between them. Hiding from the council again, he teased. They're arguing about tax reforms. I figured you'd handle it better. She leaned back against his chest. Besides, I had something more important to do. More important than tax reforms? Impossible. She turned in his arms, a smile playing on her lips. I went to the ancestral grove today. To visit my mother's memorial. They'd built it together last month, a beautiful stone marker in the place where the trial had shown Arya her mother's face. It wasn't a grave, her mother's body had never been found, but it was a place to remember. To honor. Lucian's expression softened. How did it feel? Peaceful. Arya's hand came up to rest over his heart. I told her about us. About how her sacrifice wasn't for nothing. That I found my mate, my purpose, my home. Her eyes glistened. I think she would have liked you. Even though my family killed hers? Especially because you're working to make it right. She touched his face gently. You can't change the past, Lucian. Neither can I. But we can build a better future. We already are. He caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. The other packs are following our lead. Alpha Daemon opened his borders to refugees last week. Even Theron admitted yesterday that the council reforms are working. Did he actually smile when he said it? Let's not get carried away. They both laughed, the sound easy and natural. So different from the tension that had defined their first meeting. I still can't believe you insulted me in the ancient tongue, Arya said, shaking her head. If you hadn't been so arrogant that night, we might never have found each other. Lucian pulled her closer. So really, my arrogance saved us both. That's not the lesson here. Isn't it? His silver gold eyes sparkled with mischief she'd never seen in those first dark days. Besides, you insulted me right back. In front of 300 witnesses. My reputation as a terrifying tyrant never recovered. Good. You're much better as a beloved king. Beloved? He raised an eyebrow. Let's not exaggerate. The children made you flower crowns yesterday. That was your idea. And you wore them. He had no response to that, because it was true. The fearsome alpha king had spent an hour wearing daisy chains while teaching pack pups how to shift safely. It had been the most adorable thing Arya had ever witnessed. You've made me soft, he grumbled, but there was no heat in it. I've made you human. She kissed him softly. There's a difference. A commotion below drew their attention. Lady Morgana was crossing the courtyard, her arms full of scrolls. When she spotted them on the balcony, she actually waved. Is that? Lucian blinked. Is Morgana being friendly? She's been different since the summit. I think watching the moon goddess's memories changed something in her. Arya smiled. She actually apologized to me last week. Said she'd let bitterness over her own failed mate bond make her cruel. Character growth. In my council. He shook his head in mock disbelief. What's next? Theron writing poetry? Don't jinx it. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching their pack thrive below. The summit had brought lasting peace. The Eastern Alliance had become true allies. Even the whispers about cursed bloodlines had faded, replaced by stories of the Luna who spoke with the moon goddess's voice and the king who'd chosen love over power. Arya, Lucian said suddenly, his tone turning serious. There's something I need to tell you. Her heart skipped. What is it? I've been having dreams. Ever since we completed the bond. He turned her to face him fully. Dreams of the future. Of a child with your eyes and my stubbornness, who'll drive us both to distraction. Arya's breath caught. Lucian. I know we said we'd wait. That we'd focus on stabilizing the pack first. His hand moved to rest gently on her stomach. But the moon goddess has other plans. I can feel it through our bond. Can't you? She closed her eyes, reaching deep into the connection they shared. And there, beneath the pulse of their combined power, she felt it. A third heartbeat. Tiny, new, perfect. Oh, she whispered. Oh, Lucian. We're having a pup. His voice cracked with emotion. An heir who carries both bloodlines. Silvermoon and Blackthorn, united at last. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but she was smiling. The moon goddess really does have a plan for everything. She brought me you when I needed you most. He gathered her close, one hand cradling the back of her head, the other protective over their future child. She gave me a reason to be better. To break the cycle of tyranny and fear. His lips found her forehead. She gave me everything. She gave us each other, Arya corrected. The rest we built ourselves. Together. Always together. Below, the pack began their evening song, voices rising in harmony as the sun set over the mountains. The ancient howl of belonging, of family, of home. Arya joined in, her voice blending with Lucian's, their combined power rippling through the bond and touching every wolf in their territory. A blessing. A promise. A new beginning. The Alpha King who'd learned to love. The hidden Luna who'd found her strength. And the child who would one day unite their world completely. The moon goddess's plan had always been perfect. They'd just needed to be brave enough to trust it. Thank you so much for watching. The Alpha King insulted her in the ancient tongue, Then the hidden Luna awakened. If you loved Arya and Lucian's story, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more werewolf shifter romance tales. Drop a comment below telling me what your favorite moment was. I love hearing from you all. What should our next story be about? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, may the moon goddess bless your journey.